Hello. Anybody there? Danny Lasso. What's going on, buddy? Are you on mute or what?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. What's going on?
No, everything good. Everything is good, man.
Everything's
I like
good?
your costume.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Scary stories right here. Woo! What's going on, dude? How's
Not
the
much,
weather?
man.
Is it frightening yet? Or what?
It's like 51 right now.
Hello. I think that's Maria Fernanda. How are you? Maria Fernanda.
Hello. Hello.
iPad de Maria Fernanda.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. And you?
Where's your
I'm at
costume?
Oh, I don't have it.
What? These scary stories without a costume.
Oh, I forget it.
Okay.
Here in Brazil, it's not common for us, like Halloween.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. How are you, Stephanie? How are you?
Good, and you?
Good. You know these people here? Ah,
Hey, Steph. Yeah.
Hi.
Rosana, how are you? Matilde, tudo bom?
Tudo bem, e vocês?
Tudo ótimo. Estamos bem com o inglês hoje, ok?
Yeah, no worries. You can speak English.
Ah, okay. So let's give it a few minutes. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Let's start with the ladies. How about we start with Stephanie?
Hello. My name is Stephanie. I go to FIU still. I'm studying international business and marketing. And my brother Vicky is Thai.
And where are you located?
I'm located in Homestead, Florida, right now.
Awesome. All right. Matilde, where are you?
Hi, everyone. So right now, I'm at the gym, for real.
Aha.
So I'm using my time. So I'm a marketing analyst in a French company in Brazil. And that's it. I'm Matilda, I'm French. Nice to meet you all.
Perfeito.
Hey guys, I'm Maria Fernanda from Brazil as well. And I did international relations, but now I work with payments. And nice to meet you, everybody.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent. We have Rosana. Rosana, where are you?
Hi, this is Rosana Galvez. I'm in San Francisco. Hello?
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Hello, perfect.
Hello.
Hi, nice meeting you.
And Rosana is one of our sponsors, and she lives in San Francisco. She used to work with me at Bank of America, and she covered one of the regions as an officer, and now she's in San Francisco doing many fun things.
Oh, nice.
And last but not least for now, Danny.
Hi, guys. My name is Daniel. I'm from Cuba. I was living in Miami for 10 years. Right now, I'm living in Connecticut. I am a financial analyst rotating through a program. So nice meeting you all. That's it.
Excellent. So what I like about this crowd here is that we are from north to south, all over the world, and from each corner to another corner. So this is a great showing of what we're trying to accomplish at Apprentice Worldwide, connecting people around the world, learning from each other, and growing with each other. And I will, before we start, and I give it back to Maria Fernanda, who is our hostess.
Yes.
I want to tell you that it's coming October. We are planning now the last events for the year. So we're gonna plan in each one of the cities. Everybody, I hope that everybody can get together and celebrate your successes together. We're gonna have a few events in Miami. I know Brazil will have one. I know Costa Rica will have another one. Puerto Rico, obviously, we pray for the people there. Hope they're doing well. I spoke to some of my friends there, and so on and so forth. So again, I'm very proud of the work that we're doing, and together, and I'm keep it up. And today, the topic is scary stories, workplace horror stories. So, Maria Fernanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about why we chose this topic?
Yes. So me and Hernan were talking about a little bit how do an amazing webinar. So and for the Halloween, we chose this horror story. So I can tell you a little bit about my stories that I had in work and for life, and Hernan too. So everybody can participate and ask us questions, and what should we do, or what would you do in our situation. So that's why here to talk about everything, and horror stories in work maybe. Should I start, or you want, Hernan?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so the first store that I chose is about one of my boss that I had in one of my works. And one time she called me and asked me to send her like a presentation. And I did, like, as always. And she said about it, oh, okay, but it's everything okay, it's everything done, everything right, but the graphic below, it's not in the same size as the above. So it was like a little like tiny size, millimetric, that you couldn't see, and she points me. I was like, oh my god, I did something wrong. I was like scary. And when she said about it, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? That because was like this small size. But then just to divide it, the first thing in my mind was this, like, oh, this is something so little, and it didn't interfere in my work. But then I could talk to her, and I could see that this in a presentation.
So you mean to tell me that this person, sorry, I'm Batman now. Sorry, so this person was scary enough she scared you because you had just a little mistake in a presentation and they wanted to they made you feel bad? Is that what happened?
Yes, like not to me feel bad, but like to explain me that this like little size was important in a presentation. So when everyone is in a meeting and you see like everyone is seeing, like one person can says, oh, this graphic it's not like the other one, so this is minimum, but for her and for the context that I was in a homework, so this was important, and I could think this. Then everything happened, because in the first moment I just thought like, oh, are you kidding me? It's like it's a minimum uh, mistake, like doesn't matter. But
So
yes.
you think this person had something against you? How many of you have ever had a bad boss? Raise your hand or say yes.
I think we all have to get used to the way we are managed. That's the thing.
Rosanna, how many times did your bosses bug you to do a new report?
Too many to count. Yeah, you just have to. I think in the job you just have to do your best, and there are some reports that as you grow along the chain and you become more senior, you perhaps have a little bit more of authority to really ask the purpose of the reports or the purpose of what you're doing, and mostly not with the intention of saying what your job is to your boss is doing wrong or anything like that, but to see how I can improve what it was being done. So that's how I kind of approach it and kind of avoid things that didn't really add to what we were doing.
Great, thank you.
I can tell a scary story too.
You have plenty. We have plenty of stories to tell, but I'll let some of the guys hear. Danny, I know you're working hard on these reports now. Your brain is sizzling with all the analytical stuff that you're doing now at the UT.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'm actually working right now, which is fine.
Are your graphs perfect too, or do they need a little bit of help?
What's that? Say it again?
Are your graphics perfect, or somebody?
No. Yeah, they need. I think they're perfect, but no. Speaking of bosses, I feel like sometimes we get all of this like feedback, right? Like negative feedback from a manager or supervisor, not because I feel like sometimes, not because they really dislike us, but it's either because they really want to give us, they want to see us grow, or they want to, they dedicate too much time to the company, right? And that's their priority, and they don't know how to handle, they don't know how to handle human interactions. Hey, where's Hernan?
I'm here.
Respondió. He's on the sky.
Right.
Anybody else wants to share about their horror story with the making of reports?
Yeah, I think that.
Matilde?
Points of presentations, but it's because it's all about like the company's criteria, and we have to kind of know them. And
Yeah.
We take it really personally at first, and then we get used to the company's criteria. So I think these are small feedbacks that can be taken badly at first, but then we have to get used to it.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I guess receiving feedback is number one. Like currently I'm doing a new position as a social media specialist, and there's like a new campaign, a big campaign, like the first ever Celebrate Nationwide for First Gens. And so I've gotten like 20 drafts already on the flyer. And it can get a little frustrating, especially when the committee of 8, everybody wants to be inputted in the flyer. And I think the best way you can do it is just receive the feedback, and you just can't please everybody, but just do the best. What's the best? The main focus is for the campaign. So I guess right now that's like a little scary because you're just trying to meet deadlines, but also have a great event turnout. So that's what for me going on.
Yeah, you don't want to start fighting with your boss. You know, it's not good to fight with your boss all the time. Have you ever had you sometimes feel like you're like in a Mexican fight, right, Stephanie? With your boss and
At times, but no, but actually my boss, like this boss that I have now for this new job, she's way better than my previous boss. Like my previous boss, she was like a micromanager. So for every little thing, she would be like overseen, and I'm like, I did the report, and she would always put me toward the end with finances, and I'm like, it's very important you see me right now, but how can you approach it? Sometimes you just have to have a lot of patience. But this boss that I have now, like Daniel said, really taking into account, accepting that feedback because they want the best for you to grow. So that's what I see it as now with this boss.
that's right.
I
All right.
think also as a tip as a manager is to ask questions. Sometimes the report is not what the manager is looking for, perhaps for a miscommunication between the employee and the manager. So I have asked to people that are reporting to me certain way, and their understanding of the report it was different. So I think one tip is to really be encouraged to ask questions to make sure that what it needs to be in the report or flyer or whatever you're preparing is exactly what is being asked.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the manager might not deliver that clearly, and that's why it's important to ask questions. It's better to ask questions than do the report 3 times.
So communication is definitely key
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to doing reports for anybody
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
before you start a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Maria Fernanda, what other stories do you have?
I have one that's very important to me. That it's the most recent one. That it's now I had a really good boss, and I know that he wanted me to grow and to explain everything to me. But now he's leaving the company, and I was like started be trained by him, but now he's leaving and he didn't like prepare me like 100%. So I was like freaking out a few weeks ago because I was okay, but a new boss will comes up, and I need to start everything again and to explain what I want for my career, and like give him everything to trust me, and everything to grow up again. And I was like super freaking out what I need to do it. And this is like a few weeks ago happened. I'm still not sure what I did was like correct, but I asked my one of Gabi, that one of the sponsors here, and she gave me a really good advice. So I did, and for now, I think it's everything it's doing well. But let's see, like was like for me was the main action that I did. but was freaking out about like how my boss is living, and I'm not prepared 100% to achieve everything that he was doing.
Right, right. Sometimes it's hard to when you get a new boss. So it happens when you work in a big organization that they make changes all the time. Sometimes you join an organization thinking that you're going to work with that person for many years, and suddenly they change. Has it happened to any of you, and how have you dealt with it?
Yes, it's happening right now, actually, for me. I think my problem, like you were saying about reports, but my problem actually it's not only the reports, it's management in general. Because like my new boss, he just sent me the reports and said, "Oh, you need to do it," but he never explains everything. And I believe I work in a big company here in Brazil, and I believe we have a lack of leadership. So I had a boss. He was a very good boss. He gave us feedbacks. He helped everything and everything. But now we have a new boss, and he never explains. He never give us feedbacks. He's in another country, so it's hard to him to see how we are doing actually, how is the interaction with the our colleagues. So it's very difficult to work with him.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens in a big organization. It happens, and sometimes your boss is somewhere else. They can't communicate with you that often. You know, I always have a difficult time, and it happened to me at the beginning. I always had a difficult time if the person that I reported to was different than the one that hired me. Always had a difficult time uh, in that transition. But you can quickly do things to gain their trust, which is what you want. You call them on a weekly basis. You send them reports. You know, you look for things in common, right? You do whatever it takes to gain their trust, which is what you need in order to continue with them. Otherwise, you end up in another division or even without a job, right? Anybody else
Yeah.
has a similar story where you started with one boss and then ended up working with somebody else?
Yeah, for me, it happened when I finished my internship. My boss was supposed to come back after maternity. She never came back,
Mm-hmm.
but then I could um, I could take some of her missions, and we basically split her old job between all the people in the company. So actually, it was good because I had more responsibilities, more autonomy, and I didn't have any boss. I could basically work on my own and deal my own, fix my own challenges. So that was quite an opportunity.
So what started as a scary story ended up pretty good.
Exactly. That's
Good.
it.
Yes, I hope the second story that I did, that I spoke here, uh, the same happened as happened with Matilde. So let's see, it's like so recent, and I don't know the answers. If I did everything okay until now.
Right. So I think you guys are professionals, you know, with a good trustworthy. I think obviously we trust you enough to be part of our group as well. It means that you are highly qualified. You just might need a little direction with somebody, and that's fine. So you did something interesting. You talked to Gabby, one of the sponsors, which is interesting because one of the things that I'm always bugging you guys is that we have so many people in this organization, and I'm talking about more than 7 here. We have around 100, 150 available for you, right? And maybe, I mean, Danny, you met a few people. They also give you some advice about how to deal with your job situation and your new job, no?
Yep. So, you want me to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in a rotational program. So basically, I'm moving every 6 months. And I remember talking to John Rodriguez. John.
Mhm.
And then, for example, he's a sponsor for Apprentice Worldwide, and he was giving me some advice in regards to this because he also was in a leadership program back in the day, right after college, and he was telling me that one of the challenges is also how if you're rotating, you might have different bosses every 6 months, and I think that the best advice when it comes to having different people give you different feedback is to not take anything personal and to just look at yourself and kind of like realize the changes that you can make. And if you do make some changes, right, to improve yourself, and you have a supervisor who is still complaining about some things that you do, then you know that all you can do is keep moving forward, right? And just take the advice, all right, and not just don't talk back, and just keep improving, and that's it. That person is simply going to keep complaining, I guess. When it comes to like other employees. But yeah, no, John gave me good advice. That what you were asking.
What's going to end up happening, Danny, in your case, if you're in a rotational program, when you end the program, they're going to talk about you, right? And they're going to evaluate you based on your interaction with the different people that you met in your rotation. Yeah. That's going to happen. That's a fact. So sometimes it's important to use these experiences also to meet other people around the organization and befriend them. So it's always good to have another mentor. In your case, Maria Fernanda, obviously you couldn't control it, but because you didn't have that much time, maybe. But you start developing relationships with other people around your organization, and then you don't feel that it's so scary when if that person that you trusted leaves, because you have other people that you can count on.
Yes. That's something that I'm trying to do it. So just to give an overview, like my boss is leaving, but the director, and he's new. So my boss is leaving and the director is new. So that I was so scared. But I talked to the director, to the director, and he was like very professional and gave me the directions, the next steps. And so that's why I hope everything goes well for the next weeks and next month. Like, but let's see. This was the main concern that Gabby gave me, to talk to him and to my director and try to explain my situation. And for now, he's helped me, and I'm surprised. Like,
what happens, and this is something that I realize with a lot of people that are older, that are in leadership positions. So obviously, a lot of them don't have time, but most of them don't have patience. And the thing is that for them, not everybody is qualified to deal with younger professionals, right? So you have to teach them as well. You have to teach them. You have to find the time, look at their rhythm, how they work, and then find the time when they have an open slot. Maybe go out to lunch, or maybe if they go to an event, go to that event with them. Teach them, because then they'll start trusting you. They start treating you as a professional that you are, and for you it's not a game, but for them they might see you as their children, and they might not trust you enough, and you have to teach them, show them that they can trust you, and that they have to look at you as a professional, and that you can make it. Now the thing is, sometimes the other thing that happens is, for us, what you're discussing might be a little thing, right? It might not be that much of a big deal, because we know how the story ends, right? But while you're going through it, it is a big deal, right? It's like me having a conversation with my daughter about her, the prom dress, or the dress that she's gonna wear. For her, it's the greatest thing, and that's important that you acknowledge. You have they don't know that this is important to you. You need to make it clear that this is important to you, sir. This is important to me. My career is very important. I take this very seriously. I come here very early. I leave late. I work whatever time you ask me. For me, it's very important. And if I haven't showed you, tell me how I can show you. Tell me what you need me to do. And I'm sure that you'll impress them, because you're doing a great job already. So.
Yeah.
Yes, this was I did like he doesn't live in Brazil, so I had to I wrote him an email, and he, for my surprise, he answered me and said, okay, so do you have like in 45 minutes, can I call you? Like very direct. And then I talked to him in like 15 minutes, and we solved everything. Like I was like, okay, so now I know what I can do it, and I can trust him, and he gave me the next steps that I needed. So that's, now I'm like briefing, but I was very, very scared like in two weeks ago.
It can be scary. Okay, next story.
Next story was like an embarrassing one that I got in the company, and one guy that was not my boss started yelling me like, oh, you had to do this, you had to do that. And I was like, okay, so wait, I need like 5 minutes to turn on my computer and see what are you talking about. But like in my mind I was thinking, okay, but what are you saying? I'm pretty sure that I did right. Like I'm like very clear for me in my mind, but I was like, okay, give me 5 minutes so I can turn on my computer and show you. But was very embarrassed because he was screaming with me in the room, and everybody was like looking, and I was like, okay, but just give me 5 minutes. I will solve everything for you, and we can talk. So this is very embarrassing when someone in your company is screaming with you, and you can like, you don't have a reaction. You cannot scream with this person, but he's not your boss, but it's very disrespect. When you scream with someone, you can just talk to them and ask questions, of course, but not scream. But it was very embarrassing, or a long time ago.
That guy's a little grumpy. Right? By the way, that is not correct, right? What he did. So that happens sometimes. Sometimes, these grumpy bosses that you might have, they might need to be. You might need to teach them a lesson here and there, and bring it to the attention of other people. Have you ever had a boss that has been a grumpy boss that did something he shouldn't have done? How have you dealt with it? Anybody? All your bosses were perfect.
No, but I think that sometimes, as you said, like people can be less patient some days, and it happened to me once. Like my boss was screaming at me, and when I didn't say anything, I was like, okay, so he's in a bad mood, and then I did what he wanted me to do. But the day after, I went to his office, and I was like, you talked to me really badly. You know that you could have told me that in a different way. And I think that it's all about respect. And I think that it's not because we are inferior in the hierarchy that we should shut our mouth. I guess that in the moment we should, because let's not put like oil on the fire. But it's important to prove to yourself and to prove to them that we are trustworthy. And that I mean, they shouldn't have like screamed at us. Like, show them as well, like we deserve respect sometimes.
How many of you deal with human resources or have dealt with human resources at your work because of a problem that happened to you? None of you.
It never happened.
Rosanna, you had any HR experiences? No. So I had an HR experience in one of my dealings in the past year. One of the things that I realized quickly in most of the organizations is that the HR is there to protect the employer, not the employee, which is a little weird. When you come to a work, you think that HR is there to protect you, when in reality, most of the times, they're there to protect liability at work, right? To make sure that, that the company doesn't get sued, or that the company doesn't go out and doesn't have a major problem in the press. So we have to be careful how we present things, but at the same time, we have to command respect, right? Command and demand respect. So if you feel, and this is something that's going to happen to you throughout your career, and I hope that you can learn from what we're discussing here, that there's going to be a time where you're going to be at odds with somebody at your work, and that person might disrespect you or do something incorrect, and he might be one of the big bosses that has been in the organization for 20 years. There's a point where you have to stand with yourself and say, you know what, I stand for my morals and for my rights, and not care so much about the situation or the outcome of the HR team. One of the things that is happening now in the United States, and I don't know if if you've seen much of it in Brazil or in other countries, is this campaign about Me Too. Have you seen that campaign, Me Too, which is that where women are coming out and complaining about bosses that have been harassing them?
Yes, I saw it on social media as well.
So what more horrible than you go to work wanting to do a job and all of a sudden you start being hit on by your boss or by your colleague? I don't know. Has that ever happened? I mean, to you?
Thanks God, not with me.
No, me neither.
Until now.
Yeah, me neither.
So thank God, because I've seen it happen to many of my friends, and as a result of inadequate bosses that have no training or no common sense on how to deal with people outside, even outside of their job. But it's something that's important for you to pursue. You always pursue the truth. And I'm a firm believer that at the end of the day, a job is not going to satisfy. When I come out of the job, I want to be happy with myself, right? So, I mean, my true advice is, you try to solve it as much as you can. But if the situation doesn't change, you cannot let your guard down. You need to make sure that it happens. And again, consult your lawyers, consult your parents, your best friends, your mentors before pushing it to the other side, no? But or coming to the press or be a whistleblower. But again, command and demand respect wherever you're at, and same thing. You should be respecting people. By the way, so I had a job situation where we had this, and I had a debate the other day with a friend of mine because I had an employee that was coming on to the bosses. She was actually flirting with the bosses a lot, and this brought incorrect repercussions. The boss treated her with disrespect, and it was ugly. But you have to be command respect, demand respect, and respect. No.
Fernanda, I also like to add something. Usually, for as a woman, it's more of a greater risk, mostly when you travel. I also travel 60-70% of the time. And what I can give as an advice is to avoid situations that can lead to somebody even insinuating anything to disrespect you. Because most likely in the office, if the boss, sometimes they are smart enough that they don't do any advances in the office because they know they will get in trouble. But once you get out of the office, it's kind of a gray line for many bosses. So what I would say is to avoid scenarios, or I used to have even rules when I used to travel. I never even told you. But like after a certain time, I will not go out from my room. I will only go out, let's say, if I have to go for a dinner or drink for people that I felt comfortable with. If I didn't feel comfortable or even a sign of it, I will not, I don't, even if it was the boss, I'm sorry, I'm tired, I just can't, just to avoid situations.
That's great advice. Yeah, and I did see it time and time again where people at work would behave perfect, and then they would go on a business trip and act like animals. So it happens. So we cannot cover the sun with one thumb, no? There are also relationships that are formed at work that can be beautiful relationships. The reality is when it affects your work, right? And obviously, if you're a person that has moral standards that and you, if you're trying to command respect, then you need to act in a certain way. Otherwise, you get seen as a hypocrite, you know. But I understand you. Yeah, I was very many situations, and you have to have strategies for it to not get yourself in trouble. Good advice. Thank you, Rosana. Okay. I don't know. Did you have any other story, Maria Fernanda?
No, I just separate three. I don't know if someone wants to share more stories, but for me was what I had to share here. But of course, I have many stories, and we could be here like for a long night. And but this was the main three that happened to me in my career, like 2 years now. But I know that my career will be like 30 years or more than this, so I will pass for all situations, more situations that I will need to deal with. So and I hope I didn't pass about what you were saying about women and to be abused in work, but I hope I didn't pass through this.
Well, again, it's important that everybody is aware. That's why I do commend and respect women to coming in the forefront and saying these things, because it will minimize these things in the future. You know, you want to be looked at your job. Everybody's judging you all the time, right? But there's some things that you know, if you're dressing appropriately, if you're clean shaven, all these things, they say things about you, communicate things about you. But there are other things that you know, like if you're a beautiful woman or man, and you know, if people don't know how to deal with that, if you are commanding respect, you know, and acting appropriately, then some people have to deal with it. You know, they have. What can you do? You're not gonna change faces for them, no? You just have to. Whoever deals with you has to deal with you with respect. Period. You know, they don't do it. You bring them forward.
Yes, for sure. And for me, that something's very clear. Like personally, it's that if I treat someone with respect, I can say it, okay, so you need to treat me with respect and education as well. So this situation, it's something very seriously, and of course, like we need to say it about this, and I hope never happen with women or someone.
Yeah. So we have a few minutes, and you know, the scariest story for me, and it's scary for you. It might be scary for you. Is sometimes, you know, being without a job might be scary. You know?
Yes.
I think that the fear is the biggest obstacle to pursuing our dreams, and I feel that, you know, sometimes we don't do something because we're scared of doing it. I've always, you know, I always wanted to be a manager. For some reason, I always thought that was important, because I could highly influence the objectives at my work. And it's funny that Rosana is here, but you know, I always I always felt, and Rosana worked with me many years, and I realized that I didn't need to be the boss to influence things where I worked, right? I just I was doing my job, and I did it very professionally for many years, and that was enough. And the reality is, yes, I wanted to be more in control of what I have. So right now, I'm taking advantage of the fact that I was that the changes. So I was scared when they let me go, and I don't know if I told you, but I was let go in March, and then I started a new job in April, and then that job closed in July. And yeah, the last week I celebrated 3 months outside of that job. And now I have my own company. I am doing seminars, webinars. I'm doing training. I'm buying loans. I'm doing everything in my power to make some money. But it can be scary. You know, it can be scary. I come home and I see my house and my kids, and I say, you know what? It is scary, but I cannot fear because everybody depends on me, and I depend on myself. So I don't want to close you. I just wanted to close you with a little story that, you know, don't let fear stop you from achieving your dreams. Just let yourself dream whatever it is that you want to do, and do it, right? And if you need help, ask. The biggest thing that I see people is they want to do it, they don't ask for help because they feel that they're not everybody wants to do it alone. That happens to guys a lot, right? Oh, I want to do it by myself, leave me alone. Listen, there's no shame in knowing that you don't know everything, right? And that you need other people in this world. That's why we're together and networking. Because I help other people, you know, other people can help me with their skills. So again, I wanted to bring this up because as we Halloween tomorrow, we're gonna be scared. There's one thing that I don't want you to be scared of in life, and is don't be scared of achieving your dreams. Okay. If you need any help in accomplishing them, you know, that's why we have all these people. Rosanna is around that has a lot of experience, successful businesswoman and mother and wife, you know, and some other people took other directions and they did it, right? They did it. And we're going to do it, and you're going to do it. And don't be afraid, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Hernan.
you.
Okay, guys, listen.
Great advice.
The next webinar,
Thank you, Hernan.
whoever comes up with the idea, I'll throw it around. But by the way, this was Maria Fernanda's idea. Round of applause.
Yay.
Yay.
You guys keep coming with these ideas, and eventually you'll all get to know each other. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in,
Sure.
but the beautiful thing is that, you know, mi casa tu casa, right? You guys come to Brazil. We're here for you. You guys go to, you know, she went to Mexico. He's in Connecticut. Wherever you're at, we're at, you know?
For
Yes. We're here
Always
to help
welcome
others.
here.
Obrigado. Gracias.
Obrigada.
Obrigada.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Gracias.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Call me. Bye.
Bye.
WhatsApp me. Bye. Good job. Bom trabalho. Ciao.